Welcome back to Evolve Every Day. Have you ever heard the saying, the more selfish you are, the happier your life will be? I know, it sounds completely backward, but honestly, in my world, the people who seem the most exhausted, the most worn out, are the ones who live their entire lives for other people. Me, I'm a simple person. When I want to laugh, I laugh. When I want to cry, I cry. I do it to make myself feel better, to release what's inside. I don't worry about whether it makes the people around me comfortable. Now, the ideas I'm about to share might be hard to swallow, so make sure you stick with me to the end to truly grasp this ancient wisdom. There are more surprises in store than you think. You're so selfish. Does that phrase sound familiar? From the time we're kids, everyone around us teaches us not to be selfish. A seed is planted in our minds that selfish is a dirty word, a negative trait. This causes so many people to live their entire lives without ever being true to themselves. So many people do things just for show, for others to see. And even more, live only to please everyone else. Take this, for example. Some people can't even let out a simple laugh without a storm of thoughts. I wonder if my laugh will make other people laugh? Does it look okay? Am I breaking some unwritten rule? Please, I'm begging you, just laugh for yourself for once. If you don't, one day you'll leave this world and you'll never get another chance. There's another saying that perfectly captures the lives of most people. To die for your reputation is to live in misery. They chase a good name by living for others, trapped by what other people might think. Let me give you a real-life example. I went to a class reunion a while back, and we all decided to grab dinner. We picked a restaurant, and right away, one of our old classmates whips out his phone to call and make a reservation. The way he spoke on the phone, you'd think he was closing a major business deal with the owner. The whole time, a bunch of our classmates were just captivated by his performance, thinking to themselves, wow, this guy must have an amazing network. He knows people everywhere. He's really made it. But when we got to the restaurant, the entire place was a ghost town. It was just our one table. Tell me, wasn't all that effort just a waste? Honestly, in my world, people like that live such exhausting lives, completely performing for an audience that isn't even paying attention. Like I said, I'm a simple person. I laugh when I want to, I cry when I want to. I do it for my own comfort, my own release. I don't care if it makes others comfortable or not. In the highest levels of Buddhist philosophy, there's a concept of seeing your own true nature. It refers to the essence of who you are. For example, think about when you were between 1 and 3 years old, almost completely untouched by the world around you. Every single thing you did came directly from your own thoughts. That is the expression of your true nature. Can you just take a moment and remember how incredible you were at 3 years old? You weren't afraid of anything. You felt like the entire world belonged to you, that you could do anything. But as you grew up, after going through the education system, after life happened, you weren't that person anymore. You became a robot, doing whatever everyone else does, repeating the same patterns every single day, because that beautifully selfish, true nature has faded away. Do you know why people are so afraid of death? The reason we cling so desperately to this world is because of regret. If a person lives a full life with no regrets, when their time comes, they can leave in peace. But if you're filled with regret, how can you possibly let go? And that's why a person who lives only for others is guaranteed to be filled with regret, my friends. This life is like a one-way train ride through the corridor of time. Be a little selfish and live well for yourself, just this once, so that when you leave with no regrets. Because being selfish, in this sense, is our true nature. You just need to learn how to express it a little more perfectly. The evolutionary theory speaks to this selfish nature of humankind. Let me share a story. A poor single mother was raising 2 little boys. One was 9 and the other 8. The 2 children were huddled together in their small home, waiting for her. They were cold and so hungry. They held each other tight just to stay warm. Their mother had been gone all day. They missed her terribly, but they missed the thought of the food she might bring back even more. It had been 2 whole days since their last meal. Just then, their mother returned with 2 pears. The 2 brothers offered them back and forth a few times, passing the pears between their small hands. In the end, the older brother took the larger pear, and the younger brother took the smaller one. Their mother sat beside them, a faint smile on her lips. She had always taught her boys to share and help each other, and they always listened. Even in the face of incredible hunger, they didn't fight over the food. Suddenly, the older boy held his pear out to his mother and said, "Mom, you have a bite too." The younger boy lifted his pear up as well. The mother's eyes filled with tears. "My loves," she said, her voice trembling, "Mommy's not hungry. You go ahead and eat." The 2 children looked at each other and then began to eat, taking bigger and bigger bites. Their mother turned away, tears streaming down her face. She remembered her own mother, how she always saved the best for her, remembering everything her mother had done for her. She remembered the cold wind blowing outside and the moment her own mother would return, a loaf of bread in her hand, and how she'd cry out, "Mom!" In that warm story, did you catch it? Did you see the flicker of our selfish human nature? Could you see that instinct in the children the moment they saw the bread? It doesn't matter how we're raised, our fundamental nature, it never really changes. Now, this next part might sound harsh, but it's the honest truth. Human selfishness really comes in 2 forms, material and emotional. Material selfishness is the engine of our dog-eat-dog world, the relentless pursuit of money and possessions. But emotional selfishness, you've definitely heard it in an argument before. You only ever think about your own feelings. Have you ever once considered mine? It's the simple act of pursuing our own inner pleasure. If we look back at the story, the first thing those 2 brothers saw when they looked at their mother was the food, because they were genuinely starving. Their willingness to share was just a conditioned response, something taught by their mother and by society's rules. Someone might say, well, that's just survival instinct when you're hungry. And you wouldn't be wrong. But that only proves the point even more. Human nature is selfish. Whether you call it our nature or our survival instinct, to survive, we instinctively find ways to eliminate the competition. But I can hear some of you thinking, the 2 kids in the story also shared with each other. They even gave the pear to their mother. If they were truly selfish, wouldn't that mean education had changed them? Wrong. Our selfish nature can't be changed. The only thing that changes is that we graduate from low-level selfishness to a more advanced, high-level selfishness. Through education, they learned the value of sharing and love. Their actions were a way to fulfill their own internal emotional needs. Doing it made them feel comfortable and happy. And that feeling of comfort, that happiness, that is the selfish desire they were really satisfying inside. No matter how much you think you're doing something for someone else, it's always rooted in some need or goal of your own. It's just a matter of how well it's hidden. When a person helps someone, beyond doing a good deed for them, they are fundamentally satisfying their own spiritual need to be a good person. You know the old saying, helping others is the source of joy? That means when you help someone else, you feel happy, and that joy is the selfish reward you receive. Let's take an example. When you see a great leader with a grand vision, someone who is so good to their people, always thinking of others, have you ever wondered why he's so good to them? Is it because he hopes that by being good to them now, these people will repay him with loyalty and support down the road? You might argue that some people do good deeds anonymously, expecting nothing in return. If you truly believe that, let me ask you, how do you even know about these people? But let's say you help someone today, and you genuinely expect nothing back from them. When you do it, you feel a warmth inside, a sense of joy. That joy is your selfishness. It is your greatest reward. Many people believe that a parent's love for their child is truly selfless. As a father of 2 myself, let me tell you my own feelings on this. My second daughter was just born. We take care of her every single day, not expecting anything at all, but everyone in our family feels incredibly happy. Notice that. We feel incredibly happy. And that happiness is the emotional selfishness we gain by giving her our all. We love our daughter not for her feelings, but for our own. Of course, this kind of selfish love is beneficial for the child. There's no question about that. Recently, I experienced something that had a huge impact on my life. I want to share it so we can all learn from it. A friend of mine's son got sick, not a minor illness, but something quite serious. As her friend, of course I had to visit. When I arrived, my friend was just crying nonstop. So, as her friend, I had to comfort her. I said, no one wants their child to go through this, but crying isn't going to solve the problem. Crying so much is only going to hurt your own body, and I'm sure your son wouldn't want to see that happen. Some people believe in the inherent goodness of human nature. Others believe in its inherent evil, but I've always believed in its inherent selfishness. But as I watched this mother cry for her child, I felt she was completely devoid of any selfish elements. I even started to wonder if my whole theory about selfish human nature was flawed. And then, the mother said something that absolutely stunned me. And if I tell you, I'm sure it will stun you too. She said, Alex, I understand what you're saying, but when I cry it all out, I just feel a little bit better. Let that sink in for a moment. Those were her own words. She said that when she cried it all out, she felt a little better. She cried to make herself feel better. You see, there's still that element of self-interest, isn't there? It's human instinct to be selfish. The love for a child is real, but the relief we get from our actions is also real. To make myself feel better. When you can truly grasp the depth of that statement, you've unlocked a powerful understanding of human nature. Of course, self-interest exists on many different levels. It isn't just about looking out for number one. Doing good for others while expecting something, anything in return down the line, that's a form of self-interest too. The hope is that you can elevate your self-interest to a higher, more enlightened plane. But sometimes your kindness is just devoured by wolves. Why do I say that? Because boundless kindness can never, ever satisfy the endless pit of human desire. You can pour your entire soul into helping someone, but the moment you face your own struggles, the one time your help doesn't meet their expectations, resentment will take root in their heart. Think about the story of a beloved actress. Let's call her Sarah. Through a TV special, she learned about a brilliant but impoverished high school kid from a poor rural area. We'll call him Kevin. He had the brains but no money for school, so she decided to sponsor him for 4 years. But once Kevin got to a big university, he started spending her money recklessly. He was skipping classes, partying, and letting his studies fall apart. When Sarah found out, she compassionately but firmly stopped the financial support. You would not believe what happened next. Kevin turned around and wrote a long, scathing post online, accusing Sarah of abandoning him and trying to destroy her reputation. Sarah was thrown into a storm of public criticism. She never imagined that the person she had helped with her whole heart for years would become such an ungrateful betrayer. The experience left her so scarred, so afraid, that she couldn't bring herself to easily help another person again. Today, she channels her generosity into rescuing stray cats and dogs. Then there's the story of a local musician, Marcus. He was talented, but never a big star, so his income wasn't high. To help kids in his struggling community get an education, he played hundreds of benefit concerts. Every single dollar he earned went to supporting these students, 183 of them in total, with over 300 donations made. Meanwhile, he and his family lived in a tiny 600-square-foot apartment, barely scraping by. They had no valuables. His closet was full of cheap clothes. The only nice thing he owned was the white suit he wore on stage. In 2005, Marcus was diagnosed with stomach cancer. He needed a massive amount of money for treatment. But the very people who were now building successful careers because of his help chose to remain silent. What's even more infuriating is that during his entire illness, not a single person he had helped came to visit him. The only ones who spoke up were the students demanding their living expenses. Marcus had to explain that he was in the hospital fighting cancer and had no money left. One parent's response was, "So when are you going to get the money? You promised to support my child through college, and they're only in middle school. Are you just going to abandon them? Isn't that fraud? This is the real-life version of the story of the farmer and the viper. I warmed you and saved you with all my heart, and in the end, you bit me. A single refusal, a single moment when your kindness can't meet their expectations, and the first thing they think of isn't empathy or gratitude, but blame and anger. The great writer William Makepeace Thackeray once said something profound. If a person, after receiving a great favor, turns against their benefactor to preserve their own pride, they are sure to be more vicious than a complete stranger. They need to prove the other's guilt to justify their own heartlessness. The dark side of human nature can often stretch far beyond your imagination. Feed a dog for 3 days and it will remember you for 3 years. Be good to a person for 3 years and they might forget you in 3 days. Give a beggar $10 every single day, and one day you only give him $1 and he'll curse you behind your back. But give a beggar a single penny every day, and one day you suddenly give him $10 and he will be so grateful he'll thank your ancestors. Human nature often follows this formula. 100 minus 1 equals 0, but 0 plus 1/10 can equal 100. Once you understand this, you understand people. Helping others is a joy, but not everyone is worthy of your help. Help those in crisis, not those who are poor in spirit. A person with an entitled soul will inevitably betray your kindness, leaving you cold and disillusioned in the end. Kindness itself is never wrong, but when it's given to the wrong person, that becomes the greatest mistake of all. Unlimited kindness will not be met with gratitude. It will only be repaid with vengeance. This is the trap of the overly good person. You're such a good person. It's a phrase many of us chase our entire lives. But today, this so-called highest praise has twisted into a merciless judgment against the meek. The moment you're forced to wear the good person hat, you start carrying burdens you never wanted. You become the backup plan in love, the designated peacemaker in friendships, and at work, you're the reliable cog in the machine who never, ever gets a promotion. You can feel the unfairness burning inside you. You tell yourself, that's it, from now on, I'm going to be a jerk. But these are just bitter words whispered from a timid heart. You can't bring yourself to betray the values that have been drilled into you since childhood. Honestly, you don't even know how to be bad, so you're stuck. You see yourself as a good person, but you get none of the rewards you hoped for. You try to act tough, only to find that everyone around you is repulsed by your new attitude. From beginning to end, you have no idea what the real problem is. So many people come to me with their stories. I'm being bullied. I'm working myself to the bone and still broke. My husband cheated on me, and I was left with nothing. They tell me all this, and then they ask for a simple, peaceful solution for the whole world. And I have to tell them, a problem like this is the result of years of buildup. There is no single method that can fix it. I believe you have to pay the price for your past naivete. If foolishness had no consequences, if one simple trick could solve it all, wouldn't that be a slap in the face to all of us who have spent years studying, writing, and honing our craft? Imagine a person who has lived in a gutter for 20 years. How do they go from smelling of filth to smelling of perfume? It's not a single method that will change them, because that stench has seeped into their very bones. To truly change, you need 2 things. First, a vat of perfume, meaning you must find and immerse yourself in the right mindset. And second, you need time. A 20-year stench needs at least 2 to 3 years to truly wash away. How useless does a person have to be for others to praise their morality? I'm not talking about historical figures with noble virtues. Let's be brutally honest. You'll sadly discover a painful truth. Usually, when we praise someone for being a good person, it's because they have absolutely nothing else worth praising in other areas. Think hard about the truly impressive people you know. Isn't your first reaction something like, that guy is so handsome. She has such high EQ. She's brilliant, so sharp. That person is a genius. But if I suddenly bring up a friend of yours who isn't particularly remarkable, you'll almost certainly say this: well, I feel like they're a pretty nice person. So stop kidding yourself. Don't think it's a badge of honor when someone says you have good character. When you have no other strengths they can point to, when they don't know how else to compliment you, they just say you're a good person. You need to ask yourself, do you want results or do you want a reputation? When you choose to be the good person, you need to be mentally prepared. You will only get the reputation, not the results. Because good people have to protect their image, they have to be accommodating. When you're the good guy, you have to look good. But you need to understand that if you don't do it, someone else will. You're busy saving face, you're too shy, but there's always someone else ready to walk right up to that girl you fell for at first sight. You're too proper, your ego is too big, you can't lower yourself. Well, there's always someone else willing to stay up and talk with her all night. You don't take the initiative, you don't dare to try. The next time you see her, another man will be holding her hand. In your career, so many honest, hardworking people will have their promotions snatched away by those who are better at making noise. You have to know that opportunity was supposed to be yours. I once worked at a company with an employee who had been there for over 10 years. The boss always praised him as a hard worker, the moral compass of the company. The infuriating part was that while others shamelessly climbed the ladder, my colleague stayed in the exact same position with the exact same salary. His greatest achievement was earning the reputation of a good man without a single tangible benefit to his name. Successful people will always tell you that you need to be polite, know your place, be accommodating, and be humble. That's because history is written by the victors, and they have no interest in you becoming the next success story. So don't be a coward, brainwashed by the wealthy into a good person who doesn't dare to fight for what they truly deserve. Not being a good person doesn't mean you have to go out and rob, kill, or burn things down. It doesn't mean you have to do something outrageous just to prove you're not some docile lamb waiting for the slaughter. I want to tell you that the good person you've been playing in the past wasn't a good person in the true sense of the word. It was just a label for the powerless, the proud, and the timid. A truly good person has principles, has control, and has boundaries. In the real world, you'll find people living incredibly difficult, exhausting lives for one simple reason. They are desperately trying to be the perfect good person in everyone else's eyes. They constantly put the needs of others first, completely ignoring their own feelings. They would rather push themselves into a corner than disappoint someone else. We often call this the people pleaser trap, and those caught in it are often guided by two deeply flawed beliefs. The first flawed belief is, if I'm good to people, they will be good back to me. As long as I do enough for them, they should treat me well. If they don't, it just means I haven't done enough. People with this mindset are always giving with an unspoken expectation of return. When that expectation isn't met, they don't blame the other person, they blame themselves. They set even higher standards for their own giving, which, of course, only deepens their expectation of getting something back. The truth is, when you give to someone, you must let go of the expectation of reciprocation. For instance, if I do someone a favor, I can't expect them to owe me one back. Here's a business example. If I see a talented person and give them 10% of my company's stock, I'm not expecting them to be my best friend. I'm investing in their potential to create value for the company far beyond what I gave them. If one day they leave or underperform, I can't be angry. I just have to accept it as a failed investment. In business, you win some, you lose some. This is so important. Let go of your expectations about how people should behave. The second flawed belief is thinking that only by constantly giving can I maintain a good relationship. Now, we have to admit, to keep any relationship healthy, a certain amount of patience, forgiveness, and giving is absolutely necessary. But blindly and endlessly giving doesn't just fail to make your relationships better, it can actively destroy them. Why? Because when you give and give without ever allowing the other person to give back, you create a strange kind of emotional imbalance, and you rob them of their chance to contribute. No healthy relationship is a one-way street. So, at the right time, give others the chance to return your kindness. Better yet, proactively ask them for a small favor or for their help. This allows for a true exchange, making the bond between you and them unshakably stronger. And that brings us to the end of our journey today, exploring how to break free from these traps to build healthier, more balanced relationships. If this message resonated with you, if it gave you a moment of clarity, please show your support by giving this video a like. It truly helps us reach more people. Be sure to subscribe to Evolve Every Day and click the notification bell so you never miss another step on our shared path to self-improvement. And if you know someone who is always giving a little too much of themselves, please share this video with them. We would love to hear your story. What's one takeaway from this that you can apply to your own life? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and let's continue to evolve every day.